Welcome back to another episode of the Think Strong podcast. This time we're here with another guest. John, welcome.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me, boys.
Excited for this one. John is a gym owner, coach, athlete, and avid conspiracy theorist. That's just from
Let's begin.
Tinfoil hat on. No, so just going to talk to John a little bit about all of the cool stuff that he does. And hopefully have a good chat on everyone's perspective on fitness industry and a whole host of different stuff. But we're going to kind of run through your kind of business interests and all of the things that you do kind of one by one.
Yep.
So first of all, the gym 180. How did that all start? Well, first of all, actually, a bit about you as your where you're from and how you got into doing what you're doing.
Obviously the name's John. I'm from Western Sydney, so a little bit of like a multicultural area, low socioeconomic area, an area that sort of lacks a little bit of education in the health and wellness space. And so for me, coming up, as a young kid, I sort of played rugby league, which most people do in Western Sydney. You either play sport, you're in a gang, or you're in jail. So so for me it was sport, and I think why I got into the industry initially was because I actually knew nothing about strength and conditioning until after I stopped playing footy. And so when I stopped playing, I just sort of I got introduced to a gym that ran a good strength and conditioning program, and I sort of fell in love with it, and I thought, wow, imagine how good this would have been if I was doing it while I was playing. I learned a lot about like nutrition. I learned a lot about like community and just a lot about strength and conditioning as a whole. And so for me, I sort of wanted to bring that back to my local community. And I started that out like in 2019 where I literally used to just train people inside like a school hall. We used to open up the hall in the morning at like 5 a.m. I had like a little storage unit, and I'd pack portable squat racks and a couple of ergs in there, and we'd just run like a strength and conditioning, real basic strength and conditioning program, bit of strength, bit of accessory work, and then a conditioning piece, and we'd sort of alternate between aerobic capacity, aerobic power.
Sounds like just good training.
Yeah, exactly. Just the fundamentals. We just did them really well, and then that sort of just branched out into what 180 is today. Yeah.
It's interesting how a lot of people have that same thing from sport, and then looking back at their sport and they're like, oh shit, that would have been so helpful when I was actually playing.
I think all three of us have probably been in that same boat.
Yeah. I'm sort of just like I feel like I'm way more powerful, got way more speed, a lot stronger, just like my foundations are a lot more solid than when they were when I played league. And so initially when I sort of got into coaching, it was more so to help the old me, so I got in and I was helping youth, like the youth with rugby league in particular. So I went in and had an assistant role in Manly Sea Eagles, but in their reserve grade team. So I was helping through strength rehab for a lot of their players. Got into that, and then I sort of seen how, I guess, players by that age had already been programmed in a certain way that I wasn't really felt like my impact wasn't being felt. So I sort of went back to Gen Pop and thought like if athletes were the epitome of fitness, then I could sort of train regular, average Joe Blows basically, and train them the way athletes would and have more of an impact on society, because obviously more people are not pro rugby league players. So sort of pivoted from that, and then that's obviously the style that we sort of run at 180. We run like a pretty high level strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, that's cool. And that feeds into so many different things, doesn't it? Like when you have a strong strength and conditioning base, you can be a well-rounded tool, which you're 6 to 8 weeks away from anything really. If you want to run a half marathon, if you want to do a CrossFit comp, you want to do a high rocks, you want to do whatever it may be, you've just got to tailor your training in a certain way. And you've got the base. We've spoken about it before that we're very grateful for our S&C exposure and background, and something that we both try to do is filter that down to whoever it may be and help them to build that foundation so that they can be that well-rounded tool as well.
Yeah, for sure. Our gym looks like a CrossFit gym, you know, so people see the rig and they see all the setup and stuff. We've got a 7-meter ceiling and ropes and all that stuff, and we have that there, you know, so that we can cater to people that do want to go down the sport of CrossFit, you know, and that's exactly what it is. It's a sport. And so, yes, a lot of our clients do, you know, just being in that environment, they tend to, you know, want to push down the path of being a CrossFit athlete. And so for us, we always make sure that they're doing our classes first. You know, we say our class is your strength and conditioning base. And if you are doing that and you're doing it really well and you're consistent with that, then, you know, we will get you into our performance like program or into our extras program to be able to help you with your sport. But you know, that might be 20 to 30% of the gym. There's other people that are working towards high rocks. There's other people that are working towards, you know, just running a marathon, like whatever it might be. But we make it known that the class is the foundation. You know, it's the strength and conditioning base. And I've just seen gyms sort of go away from that, you know, over the years, and you sort of lose what you do. You lose your identity. And for us, it's like, no, we're an S&C gym first, and everything else is.
Build on that.
Yeah, we can build on that. It's all secondary. Like, do this stuff really well, and you'll go a long way.
Yeah.
The difference between going from an S&C program to a CrossFit is just doing higher end skills, you know. And we can introduce you to those things when you want to, if that's the sport you want to do.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps that like you're so clear on that fact that like we're an S&C gym. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And then you branch off from that. Sometimes like where the blurred lines might come across is, you know, you've got CrossFit HQ like dictating to so many different gyms, and that might not align 100% with the gym owner. And then, you know, the classes go one way, the demographic of the gym go the other way, and then just that fuzzy middle part starts to crop up. But obviously you being the gym owner, you're coaching or you're involved with the gym daily as well, aren't you? So you're a regular face, people know you. That's your identity is like living and breathing through the...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that it's why, you know, coaches or gyms sort of lose that identity is because it's the leader, you know, it's like the leader has to direct the culture. And for me, it's like I will take on board people's advice, and I will forever, you know, keep my ego small and keep my identity very small. But, you know, I'm open to listening to ideas, but I know deep down that like we've gotten 180 to where it is off the back of like just staying true to our principles and staying true to our philosophies. So
yeah, you do a lot of good work with, well, from what I've seen with your coaches PD and stuff. And I think that, like you said, having those beliefs and values that you hold dearly and being able to get your coaches to buy into that keeps the culture at your gym to be standard like across the board.
For sure. We say like the limit is the leader, and so like we don't want any limitations. And like I would say, yes, I'm the leader there, but the coaches are the leaders also of that community. So we don't want any limitations across the board. And so the coaches will always push for more in their own way. I'll always push for more in my own way. And the members aren't going to they'll keep me a little bit accountable, but not the same way the coaches will keep me accountable. And the same goes for me and the coaches. Like,
that's great.
If I can keep them accountable and pushing towards, you know, just continuously getting better, and not dramatically, like our whole philosophy is better than yesterday. It's one, like, small efforts compound each day. So that's all it is. It's like, just turn up and just just do the next thing.
Yeah, that's good. I think when I was a bit younger, I had a call with a head coach at another gym in England that was doing really well.
Yeah.
And I was moving into like a head coach role at a previous gym, and I just wanted to ask him about like how he handles his roles and like gets his ideas across to the other team without like bombarding people with stuff. And he was just like, ask yourself one question. He's like, if you were hit by a bus today, could you have full confidence in the person that's like next in line to run the gym like exactly the same way that you do? Like everyone still come in, learn, feel confident, comfortable, and leave having a good experience. I think it's a really nice question to like ask yourself, and then be like, the person below me could, not below, but in line or whatever you want to see. Yeah, you'd have full confidence in them to do that.
Yeah, I've been asked that question before as well by a business coach, and it's just obviously in regards to like setting up systems for your gym and making sure that like, you know, the systems are there so that you can just continuously replicate, you know. And yeah, I think across the board, the coaching team that we have, I would almost trust like all of them to be able to like step forward and lead in some capacity for different things, you know. And that's what I guess, like, you know, as a coach, you want to sort of try and find, or as a business owner, you want to try and find your people's strengths, you know, same as like if you're a halfback in rugby league, like you want to play to everyone's strengths. And so everything that we sort of do is like team orientated, and it's like, well, if you're shit at this, like I'm not going to give it to you. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. You know, I'm shit at this, and this is why this person's here. So it's just playing like to people's strengths, and then trusting that collectively we're like turning the wheels every day. Yeah.
No, that's cool. I think like to go along with that, you've obviously done a good job at creating an environment that people want to be in as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's coaches, whether it's members, like yourself probably as well.
Yeah.
Have an environment that you're happy to go in and spend time in and put the work in that environment is obviously speaks volumes when you're able to then rely on people.
Yeah. I think it's an important thing. Like I've worked at gyms where, you know, you want to just coach and get out, and like, to me, you know, it's always about creating that community. Remember, like we're in Western Sydney. There's not a lot of gyms doing what we're doing. So like, this is a space for the coaches, the members to, you know, just experience something totally different. And so we're closed on Sundays, but like the coaches will go in and train. The members will go in because they know the coaches are in there. Like, you know, it's just it's an infectious sort of community, and it's just a very positive space for people. And everything that we've done is real thought out. Like we have a basketball ring right in the center of the gym. Like it's a way for us to break the ice with people when they come in. You know, you come in and you shoot some hoops with the coach. The coach sees you walk in and they're shooting hoops. They'll tell you to hop in. Like there's little things like that that are designed like, or that are planted there on purpose, just so that like people feel, you know, part of the community, like off the bat. So
You're like,
yeah.
you have no athletic ability.
yeah, get out.
Mate, if you can't dunk and
Yeah.
soup, like,
Yeah, just recently we put
it's your movement assessment.
we put steel, like the metal chain around the ring just recently, because the boys are like, the Nets just fucking had it, so they're just like, we need some, you know, we need that swish noise, you know.
Just to add to the experience. That's class. No, so good. And segueing nicely into my next question, what do you think have been some of the biggest challenges from owning a gym? Obviously, with creating a community comes managing a community as well.
Yeah, it would definitely be managing people. Like, as much as I, you know, enjoy it and I feel like this is what I'm made to do, it's still the most difficult thing. Like, you know, there's been times where I've had coaches that I've sort of rush hired, and then I'm like, maybe, you know, you realize 6 months down the track, like this doesn't suit the culture that I'm creating. You're a good coach, but, you know, these things don't align really well. So then, you know, there's those, you know, I've always tried to like work with the coach and try to, again, like play to their strengths and just try to help them. I sort of take them under my wing and sort of try and help them progress, not only like professionally, but personally. I'll always give everyone a chance and stuff. So I think, yeah, like over time, when you put effort into people and you then realize like, you know, it's just not working out. It's more of a you thing that you have to go and sort of figure out yourself, like those tough conversations and, yeah, like definitely like trying to manage people, help people progress all the time. That's probably one of the hardest things. The other thing is like, you know, always being accessible. Like I'm sure you guys know as coaches, like I say to any coach that I hire, like this is not a 9-to-5 job. Like it's a job that is just on all the time. Like, and again, coming from Western Sydney, like there's a lot of trauma, like people's lives like that we deal with. It's not just, you know, fun Bondi Beach, like fucking, you know, everyone's there fit training, like no, they haven't gone through any rough shit in their life. Like Western Sydney, they've gone through a bunch of stuff, you know, and so you're dealing with that. And then you're sort of trying to help them understand like,
They don't say doing high rocks is a hard thing.
Yeah. So you deal with so much, and like, you know, you get messages on a Saturday night, like from people like, man, I'm not doing too well, blah, blah, blah. You got to be there for that. You get messages from people who, like, I had a client in particular who was on, have you guys heard of the Man Shake?
No.
So Man Shake is like almost like it's a supplement. It's a supplementary like drink basically that's got all of your protein, carbohydrates, all that sort of stuff in there. People fully swap their diet out for these things, so they have like 3 a day.
A bit like Huel, kind of.
Yeah. So like for people in Australia, they use the Man Shake, and it was created by an ex-NRL player. And obviously you get really good results, but then they just rely on this thing and they think that this is the like magic potion. And so I've had to sort of train people how to eat food, how to come off a shake as your main source of like nutrients and nutrition every day, and like teach them how to eat. And so and just have trust that you're just not going to blow out and just be fat again because you're putting food in your body and not like liquid. So you'll get messages on a Saturday night like, hey man, I'm at this restaurant, like, what do you think? Hey, I want to go to this place, what can I eat? Like, and so because we've helped them through such a big part of their life, like I can't just sit there and be like, fuck off, like I'm not gonna tell you what you can eat, because like I know how far and how hard we've worked for you to get there and to just actually eat something. So yeah, definitely like just being accessible all the time, and like managing people all the time.
Yeah, it can be exhausting, but like the first part where you were talking about like managing different coaches, like the lessons you learn from that are great. I think they build you as a person, and
for sure.
Your interactions with people, like I guess it could be detrimental in some ways because you can judge people a little bit earlier than normal, but it also has you guard up a little bit more before you then like offer someone something in
exactly
the future.
Yeah. And the latest hire we've done literally a 12-week internship with, because I'm like, I don't want any commitment yet. I need to see you like
earn your stripes.
I need to see you earn your stripes, and just see if any bullshit pops up, like we can can we rectify it? Like I don't mind if people fuck up, like I don't care. It's more so can you own it, and can you move forward and be better from it? That's all it is. Like,
and how many free throws can you make?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How many free throws can you hit from the fucking,
Nice one. I kind of touched on the nutrition stuff a little bit there, but obviously you're a man with many strings to his bow, doing a lot, and nutrition kind of re-education seems to be quite a big one. The expression "eat real food" jumps to mind. It's a good tagline, but all part of the kind of re-education, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a big part of
This podcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Marlboro Red.
So real food, like just how I spoke to you guys about, like you're doing this podcast for a year. You're like, I want to commit to this for a year. A few years ago, I was like, I want to commit to real food for a year. And the reason was obviously like, I would yo-yo diet. So, I'd go through, and not your typical yo-yo dieting. So I'd just be like, okay, cool, I'm going to eat a little bit more of what I normally eat throughout the year when I think that I need more nutrients and more nutrition to fuel my sessions. And then end of the year when I want to look fucking jacked and have a six-pack, I'm going to track my calories, and I'm going to, track it to a T for 6 weeks, get my six-pack popping, and then go into the summer. And then next year, I'm going to just increase the amounts of food that I ate. I never changed what I ate. I just changed the quantities, And so in that little period, the middle period of the year, I started to see like, I don't look as athletic. I don't look the way I train. And so at that point, I did have, like I would try and track, processed foods or certain things that like, I craved, or, you'd make it fit within your calories. And I just thought, you know what, like something's got to give. Like I'm just going to try for 1 year. I don't want to track. I don't want to be bound to this fucking MyFitnessPal app. I want to just go 1 year, real food only, and just see. And literally I remember saying to myself, just show me how good it can get. That was literally my whole philosophy in that year. I just want to see how good it can get. and honestly, that whole year, like my performance went through the roof. My physique, stayed consistent. I obviously got like, some metrics done. I got my scans done and stuff like that. And like my lean mass had increased, and my body fat had decreased, and all these like, changes that happened. And then, aside from that, like my focus, my brain fog, like all of these things had gone, and I just felt like, optimized, and so, for me, it was like, well, fuck, like I feel so free from food now, like from like tracking food, and I'm getting the physique that I want, and I'm training the way I want to train, and I'm getting stronger, I'm getting fitter, I'm getting faster, and I feel really good. And so obviously it just led me down this whole rabbit hole of like, well, fuck, like what's in our food, and like why are we being taught this way? And so now it's like I understand that people are on different parts or different paths, and they're on different timelines in their journey of like training and nutrition, but my goal for everyone would be to get them to a point where they're just eating whole foods, and they look how they want to look, they're training how they want to train, and they're performing both in and out of the gym as optimally as possible. So yeah.
How difficult do you find it to get people to transition into that same mindset?
Oh, it's extremely tough. Like you're up against it big time. Like you're up against everything, like I say, like, again, a bit conspiracy theorist of me, but like,
let it all out, mate. It's
yeah.
fine.
So like,
the frogs gay. It's fine.
like there are, you need a mechanic for something, you need a doctor for something, you need a dietitian for something. But like, I get that, but it starts to make you question, like, okay, are they put in these positions for certain reasons, And so like, I look at dietitians, for example, you only have to look at the ADA, so Australian Dietitians Association. You look at that in Australia, you look at who funds that, the ADA, and it's Nestle. Like, so of course they're going to teach you about balance. Of course they're going to teach you how to include, like they don't want to...
I used to live next to the Nestle factory.
Oh, did you?
In Melbourne. When I lived in
really?
Melbourne. Yeah,
oh, yeah,
it was so funny.
How'd it smell? Nice?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, so like, and this is like, people will just think like you're making bullshit up, but it's like, it's the truth. Like you only have to do a simple search to find that Nestle funds the ADA. And so of course it's going to be fucking like corrupt, and you have to look like, and people think that like they'll always turn to science. Oh, but the science says this, but like the science is known to be corrupt. Like many years ago, sugar companies paid scientists off to say that, and I'm sure like you guys maybe know this, or your parents would have experienced this, where everything was low fat, because they paid scientists off to say that fat is the problem. These sugar companies, and it's all proven now, they've paid scientists off to say that sugar is not a problem, fat's the issue. When you take something out of a product, you have to substitute it with something. What would they substitute it with? Sugar, right? So they could sell more sugar. So if it was corrupt back then, I don't know why people think it wouldn't be still corrupt.
Yeah.
We're in a funny stage. Well, I think maybe it's just the human condition, but these conspiracy theories just seem ridiculous, and then they constantly get proven to be correct.
Yeah.
And, like, without going into too many details, like you don't have to look far back in our recent history to think about like the legitimacy of like global things. And then, it's still like when something's happening, like here and now, it's still hard to relate that to what might be considered a conspiracy theory. But we have to kind of battle through that, don't we?
Yeah.
We're trying to.
And it's I have like sympathy, I have empathy for a lot of people, like, because it's not their fault.
No.
It's like we've been so programmed to eat that way.
I think it's that, like, the environment that's been created is insane.
Exactly.
Like, you walk into a supermarket.
Yeah.
Like, well, if you walk into a supermarket now in England, the first thing you'll see is like selection boxes for Christmas, like rammed in your throat.
Yeah.
You can't walk 5 meters without seeing Terry's chocolate orange. A million of them, and You know what I mean? These companies know what they're doing.
Oh man, like companies go to the extent of like hiring scientists to like the Pringles box, the Pringles packet. They've hired scientists to even create the little like pop, like when you open the seal, so that like you get like a bit of like it sort of plays with your neurotransmitters a little bit, and you're like, oh, like I'm excited for this. And then you know the crunch on the chip, like they've designed it that way. And you know most people when they open up a Pringles packet, like they finish the box and it's designed that way. You know, it's the chemicals that they've put on it, the taste, you know, that they've created is designed so that you finish it. Why? So that you buy more. The whole thing is like business. It's a business proposition.
I always thought that like I don't do loads of nutrition coaching now with clients.
Yeah.
Still do some here and there, but the hardest part is like it's nothing really to do with their like the actual food. It's their whole like behavioral habits, mindsets, being able to think critically about.
Yeah.
Like you said, like question what's in front of them and like look within and look at your choices that you're making. And I think even since living here, you would probably agree that like we never go to the supermarket, do we? And if you do, it doesn't have the stuff in England and like
that's one thing I was going to say actually. I went back to the UK in March and just kind of realised there that I've been taking the good quality of food that you get here for granted a little bit. Just like grabbing a sandwich and stuff out like when you're out and about from a shop, and then you know experiencing things like you said like brain fog and stuff. I haven't experienced that for more than a year, and I'm like I'm starting to realise now how you probably were, even if you're not feeling that bad, like how much better could it be if you're.
That's the thing. People don't realise they're operating at 50 or 60%. Like when you switch to whole foods, and so we're running like what we call like a 6-week lock-in at our gym at the moment. We have 90 people doing it, and out of the 90, we probably have about 60 that are doing whole food only. And for me, it's awesome because it's like the only way I can get people to understand how good this is to do it. You know, like I don't have I almost feel like I'm working so hard upstream, like I'm working so hard against, you know, the tide that like there's nothing there to back me up except like living proof, you know. And so I'm sort of just trying to get as many people doing this as possible so that they can experience that. And the more and more people that I'm working with, the trends I get to, you know, I get to look at, I get to like analyze the data, and I'm seeing, you know, things that are very, very like consistent with the people that I'm working with. They're all getting like, you know, lean mass improving. They're feeling a lot better. They're not thinking too much about food. Like food's not a massive thought anymore. Cravings gone. You know, that's one of the biggest things. Like people think that like, man, if you saw me before I went whole food only, like I would track for the 6 weeks. And as soon as I could stop tracking, the first thing, like I'd go to sleep dreaming about fucking waffles and ice cream. That's how fucked, like, you know, how addicted you are to these things. You don't realize. I talk to like, you know, when I used to train pro boxers, they're like, man, all I'm thinking about is like, I'm having dreams of burgers. I'm having dreams of like hot chips, you know? And so it's not a surprise. Like we're designed to be addicted to these things. And so the only way to win the battle is to completely stop and to nourish your body. The biggest thing I tell people though, when they do change from processed foods to whole food only, is when you're hungry, eat. In the initial stages, like you need to learn to like regulate your hunger hormones.
No, that was going to be my next question for you. Yeah, like how long did it take you to feel good when you made that change?
Yeah, it's generally like, you know, the 2 to 3 week mark. I sort of tell them like don't restrict, and it's hard because a lot of people are like, you know, if they're going whole food only initially, they're sort of thinking, oh, maybe this is the thing that's going to make me like lean, or because that's when people are sort of diving into nutrition. You know, it's generally when they want to track calories to get lean, and so they're like, oh, maybe I'll just try whole food this time. And so I understand they're like, oh, I'm eating a little bit too much, you know, and it's just because again we've been designed like if you include these processed foods, probably eating too much, but when you take them out, you need to start to listen to your hunger cues, and you need to like, you know, if you're going to train, you need to think about like what I tell them is like eat for what you're about to do, not for what you've done. So a lot of people like, will eat as a reward, so to speak. I did this big session or this like comp simulation or whatever it is, and like now I deserve this. It's like if you have that mindset around food, like you've already lost. So I sort of try and teach them to like just see your food as fuel, and you hear that all the time, but it actually is. And until you can actually understand that you just got to eat for what you're about to do, and does that thing make you feel good or not? If it doesn't, then don't consume it. If it does, eat. But yeah, in that initial stage, I'm just sort of like, eat, doesn't matter, eat, doesn't matter. Like, it's fine. If you're hungry, have a little bit more veggies or have a little bit more protein or have some fruit after dinner or whatever it is. Just keep eating. Eventually, your body's going to get to a point where you no longer crave sugar. You no longer crave processed foods. And this is the stuff that I'm seeing all the time now. They no longer crave those things. And then they just start to eat what they're meant to eat. So they're not as hungry anymore. They're filling up their bodies, adequately throughout the day. They're not reaching for anything, and they don't crave sugar anymore. If they do, they tend to go for like something like a Greek yogurt bowl with like honey, or, you make your own like banana pancakes with like, organic maple syrup or something like that. Something that's a bit more natural. But yeah, that's sort of what I've seen. And so
it's great. I think I've seen some of the clips of some of your members that were talking about it. I think you maybe posted it today or yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like gamified it a little bit for them as well, which is nice as part of that like community aspect. But I think the impact is way greater than you probably think as well with what you're doing, because like, with Whole Foods, you're getting that into your members, but think about your older members that maybe have children and kids like that. What do kids do? They copy.
For sure, man.
And they'll start seeing their parents eat better, and they'll be like, and then it feeds down. It has a greater impact. So
yeah. And that was around the time I started Whole Foods. Was like I found out my wife was pregnant, and I'm like, I just want to be as good as I can be, and that was the thing, for me. Is like, well, my son, I still live in Western Sydney. I want my son to be, I always say I'm like a guy that's reading labels in an area full of people that live off Red Bull, like that's where I'm from, and so I'm sort of trying to change that narrative. And again, like if I start with me and my family and my son, like, it's going to trickle down. It's going to be, generational impact. And so that's what I'm sort of trying to do with my members too. My members that have been with me since day dot, like they're my age, generally like the first 20 members I ever had were my best mates. Like, so like, they're all getting married now, they have kids and stuff. And so like, that's the generational impact that I was sort of hoping for. And they're all, on board with it. And that's ultimately what I want, is just to create like a healthier society. If it's, if it's 100 people, it's 100 people, like whatever it is. But as long as I feel like, I get up and my purpose is there and my impact is felt and passed down, then I'm winning.
Huge impact. I mean, the guy that I had as a coach from 15 is exactly the same as you within his mindset with Whole Foods. And that was what I was obviously playing football at a pretty good level back in the day. And then when I transitioned to go to work on site, I was obviously the apprentice, but then my guy that I work with all the time, his diet completely changed because he would see what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like, granted, if I was on site with like 10 other blokes, I'd be getting hammered for what I was eating.
Yeah.
But I was like young enough and arrogant enough to be like chicken and rice, mate. I can eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
But the guy that I work with like directly, he like completely changed his diet just from being like, oh, that's what I should eat. Shouldn't have Red Bull for breakfast at 10.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean though?
Yeah,
Like, that's the culture, isn't it? Like, you've lived that same experience through being on site as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, yeah. We have like, again, Western Sydney is all like tradespeople, like fuck. So, it's getting people to stop pulling into the servo and like, grabbing, a V and like a meat pie in the morning. Like, I'm like, man, you got to ditch that. Like, find a local cafe if you have to and just get some eggs and some avo or something like that. Or if you need to go to the servo, like, here's an option for you. We recommend sometimes like these blue dinosaur bars that are like collagen and like MCT oil and egg whites and stuff like that. So we just sort of, you sort of have to try and find the best option with where you're at. But yeah, we've had, good success with those people too.
That's cool. It's so interesting how so much of that is downstream from habit change rather than the specifics of it.
Yeah.
And everything else, like the specifics come with time. Like you were saying, it's going to take time, but
Yeah.
you change those habits, it comes
Exactly.
with it.
Exactly.
But yeah, kind of moving on to some of the other stuff you're doing. Obviously, you've got the Prime 3, which is a functional fitness competition.
Yeah.
And a bit of a side hustle, if I can call it that as well. Triad.
Yeah.
Is that
Triad?
right? Triad.
Yeah.
So obviously those things are like extra. You're already doing so much. What would you say is like your driver behind those things to push them on to the level that you are?
I just think like, I don't know, you guys are probably the same, but like people in this industry, like we just have this drive for doing more and doing like as much as we can and squeezing the juice out of everything that we can. And so that's what this is, you know, it's just to prove that I can do it. Like, not to anyone, like, you know, maybe a little bit to like my son and my wife and like my family, like that's a big driver for me. But like, it's to me, man, like it's, you know, to, you know, wake up and have my purpose. And, you know, the Prime 3 was, it was an idea I had. So I ran 3 in-house comps. So I ran 3 in-house comps just to test it all out, see if we could run it like efficiently, what sort of workouts we would do. And it was a way for our members to almost like have a test of our regular strength and conditioning program. And then like, you know, the one thing people will say when they come and train with us is like, you know, and it's our 3 Ps of our gym is like, people, program, and progress. That's the 3 things that we sort of focus on at the gym. We were like, well, we want to get other people from around, you know, Sydney, New South Wales. We want to get them in to connect with our people, and we want to showcase our program. And so that's why we started the Prime 3. It was just an opportunity to get more people in and to experience our culture and our program. And every year we've sort of gotten stronger. But we also like to reward the athletes too. So we're probably we pay like the most for a local comp for a team of 3. So the winners of the advanced division will get $2,400 for male and female advanced divisions. And they appreciate that. Like that's sort of what they look for. Like if they're CrossFitters or whatever, like they're not getting too much income. So yeah, they look for comps like that. And so we want the best of the best, and we want to test our program against the best of the best. And we knew like we snuck in a bench press program, a bench press test in the last one, and like it exposed the fuck out of all the high level CrossFitters. And they said to me, they're like, man, like we just, you know, you just got us with the bench. And like, I'm like, I know I was going to get you with the bench press. Like, I just know what you guys spend time working on. And so I wanted to showcase another way, like, or an element of, you know, such a simple movement, but just showcase like, you know, S&C is still king, you know. And yeah, it was like a toes to bar workout with like an overhead plate hold, and they had to go into like it's like a descending ladder bench press, but the weight obviously went up and they struggled big time.
Honestly, I wish there was a bit more bench pressing.
Yeah.
Rugby days served me okay. Bench press and deadlifts, not too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good to expose them. And then Triad is started as a side hustle, but Triad's like, man, Triad's a beast. Like the online space is there's opportunity for infinite scalability online, and especially like product based. For me, it's a big it's a big eye opener, like because obviously I've been in service my whole life. But having a product is it's a bit refreshing for me. I'm not dealing with people all the time. I'm literally dealing with like, you know, operations and like, you know, like ads. Like I'm just dealing behind a computer and talking to my manufacturers overseas or distributors that we have overseas. So it's very different to coaching. But I actually grew up in business. So my background initially was like business. I worked in business for 7 years. And so I've always had that drive to like have some sort of like product that, you know, I could just have selling online, and it would just be purely transactional, nothing like, you know, no sort of emotions attached or anything like that. And so that's sort of how Triad came about. And Triad's a beast, man. Like, yeah, it's
just for the listeners, like it's a tension headache relief thing, isn't it? Or
yeah,
device.
Yeah. So it's got 3 sides. Side A is designed for tension headache relief. And so basically, my business partner, Dave, he's a sports chiropractor. And so the way he would treat a tension headache in clinic would be extend the neck, target the base of the skull. So the suboccipital trigger points at the base of the skull. And he'd do that with his hands. So he'd have his hands underneath you, tilt the head back, get into the base of the skull. And so he wanted something that people could take home and like self-manage. Because he started to see an increase in people visiting clinic purely for tension headaches because everyone's on their phones.
Yeah.
And so the neck muscles are just getting longer and they're just getting like shorter and weaker and like tighter. And so he wanted to he's like, I'm seeing this increase and I think it's only going to get worse. And so I want to provide something where they can take it home and use it. And so that was the original design. It was just side A. But through product development, we're like, fuck, why don't we just try and make like an all-in-one tool? And so side B is like, it mimics like your peanut balls. So that's designed to use like up and down the spine, glutes, hammies. And then side C is like 2 thumbs. So it's designed for like real deep trigger pointing to get in between like bony structures like pec minor, underneath the feet, forearms, those sorts of things where you really want to dig in. And so side A is patented across the world. It's the first of its kind. And so side B and C we couldn't patent just because they're similar to other structures that already exist. But yeah, so side A is the main sort of attraction, but we just wanted something that, people could throw out all their other trigger pointing devices and just use this.
Cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's something that not really come across before. And especially with the fact that different sides of it are patented and others aren't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, cool. Moving on to the topic that I've really wanted to be talking about for the whole time. Jarryd Hayne.
The Hayne played. He'll probably love this, eh? I'll send this to him.
we were just talking about Jarryd Hayne in the episode that we've just recorded, talking about players going from different codes and doing well, and just what a legend he was in rugby league as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool that you're getting back to a bit of S&C and working closely with a top end athlete again.
Yeah. It sort of just come about like I said to you at the gym the other day, like I sort of just wanted to get back into one-on-one coaching. So I hadn't done any one-on-one for the last few years, but I did want to be real specific with who I worked with. And it was mainly just high performance athletes, whether it was strength rehab, whether it was just like for purely performance, whatever it was. But the way it sort of come about was Jarryd made his return to rugby league and he trained. He did a training session with one of the boys named DJ. Did training session with him. He saw how he lifted, like how he moved, and he's like, fuck, you move really well. Like, where did you train before? And he's like, oh, I used to train at 180. Like, they taught me everything, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, fuck, can you give me their number? So I get a call like a week later. I'm like, hello. He's like, hey, mate, it's Jarryd Hayne. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I was like, hey, man, how you going? Like, playing it cool, whatever. He's like, man, like, training with DJ. He told me you're the guy to see, whatever. I've got a few issues. I'm making my return back to rugby league. Like, can you help me out? So got him in and we just did like a movement assessment. And basically, I like to do a bit of like a...
Was he any good at basketball?
He's good at basketball, yeah. He's good at basketball.
He's got it all.
Yeah, he's good at everything, yeah. If you asked me fucking in 2009, I would have told you he's the best athlete in the world. But yeah, so I like to do like a bit of like a history, like a timeline on people's injuries. Just because I find that like you'll see correlations. So like, for example, like, if he's had like a right calf issue, and then like his right hammy's fucking playing up 3 years later, or you generally will find crossovers. And so one of the things I like to do with especially the higher end athletes is like, just tell me your injuries from day one, like anything you can think of, let's just write it out. And I do a bit of a map on like cool, these are the injuries you have. And that's something I'm sort of interested in now, is like more so just like rehabilitation and like getting people from like pain to pain free basically, and like performing as best they can. So we did like a bit of a mapping for Hayne, and we sort of found that, you know, like he had issues in his hamstrings and like he had issues in his hip flexors and calves, and never like anything severe like in his career, but they were always like niggling issues. And so for me, like, you know, then getting to talk to him and understand that, like, obviously I told you guys, like he would just play and kill it on the weekends, have the whole week off. He'd do 4 massages, come back, play again the next week, kill it again. And like, it was sort of like a blessing and a curse for him throughout his career, because there was never a time where people stopped and said, like, what is the issue? And like, we have to get to the bottom of this and fix this, and imagine how much better like you could be as a player. Because he would just come out and fucking, you know, put teams away. Like whenever, you know, when the team needed him to put teams away, he would. And so I even spoke to him about that. Like, you know, he said, like, in the first 20 minutes of a game, people would say, like, oh, I'm fucking lazy. Or, like, I wouldn't sprint into the line. He goes, but I'm doing that on purpose. He goes, my body's fucked. He's like, I'm doing 20 minutes of jogging just to warm up. He's like, so you see me jog around, I catch the ball. He's like, I jog into the line. He goes, I'm doing that on purpose because I need to warm myself up. He's like, I know that, you know, if the boys need me at the 60th minute, like, I'm going to turn it on.
Imagine being that good at your sport.
Yeah. Yeah. And he would just say, like, if they needed me to, you know, to assist with the ball, like I'd be there to play, you know, create opportunities. If you needed me to score tries, like I'd do everything to score a try. And so, but if they didn't need him, and they would, like, if he just did enough throughout the game, he'd cruise throughout a game. But it was purely just to, like, preserve his legs and preserve his lower back. And so, yeah, we did a lot of work on, like, okay, well, why is this happening? Like, why do you have an issue with the hip flexors? Why is there an issue with the lower back? And we sort of found, like, bro, his single leg glute bridge was like that. Like, his hip would come off the ground like that. He had nothing, man, nothing through his hamstring, nothing through his glutes. And, you know, obviously dead giveaway, like really weak hamstrings, weak glutes. Inability to extend the hip. And so you see him and he's like, you know, one of the most powerful, you know, fastest rugby league players. And you're like, wow, how the fuck was he this good? And he always asks, like, he'll look at me and he'll be like, how was I any good? Like, and only now he's sort of realizing, like, wow, this is what the hamstrings feel like. This is what the glutes feel like. This is what the calves feel like. And so when he runs through, you know, like utilizing the whole chain, he feels the difference, and he's like, wow, like and literally his preseason this year, he was the first time where he's like, I can run and do, like, you know, 400s, or I could do like 100-meter runs continuously, or, you know, I could do like a Bronco and not have back pain. And so, like, literally he's like, my whole career, she's like, this is the first time. And so it was just for us, it was a big focus on hamstring, glutes, and like psoas and low abs. So like transverse abs. A lot of gymnastics work. Like I was talking to you about this in the gym.
Yeah, so interesting, yeah.
A lot of gymnastics work. Just real, like, basic fundamental movements, like hollow body hold with, like, feet on the ground still, but just learning to, like, tilt the pelvis forward, and, you know, and just hold that position.
So use that anchored hollow hold in the class yesterday.
Yeah. It's underrated, man.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, people chase, like, position. We're not chasing position. We're chasing tension, you know. All I wanted was to put him in a position where there was tension. And so in the initial stages it was let's just access these muscles. Like, let's just feel what they feel like, you know. And over time, we'll access range. We'll worry about range and position later on. And so for me, it was just a big focus on shortening the levers, like, make it as tight as possible, and let's just make you feel what it's meant to feel like. And so, yeah, over time, we just sort of progressed and took the levers out a little bit further and whatever. And the idea would be to create, like, more range over time, like, and be able to maintain that tension through that range. You know, it's like what you teach with your gymnastics, you know, like that hollow body shape. Like you want it nice and long and strong, you know, feet together. Like if someone can't do that up on the rig, you're going to shorten everything, bring it down. Let's just make you feel what it's meant to feel like. And so I just treated Jarryd Hayne like any other client. Like that's what it was. And he would say to me, like, you know, they'd send him, Parramatta would send him to this trainer and be like, this is the guy that's going to help you. And the guy would be starstruck that Jarryd Hayne's in his fucking room and want to do like this out of the world program, you know?
Working on a Bosu for half an hour.
Yeah, yeah. And I said like, that was the blessing and the curse. How good you were was your blessing and your curse, because no one ever treated you just like a normal human being.
Yeah.
To build that foundation.
To build the foundation.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like
Unreal.
NRL, how would you say the S&C in general is in the NRL? Obviously, is it the biggest sporting franchise in Oz? I assume it is.
It's controversial. People would say AFL is.
Okay.
But I would say like across, I'd say yes, because I'm from Western Sydney.
Yeah. Bigger on the East Coast, right? And then
Yeah.
Australia, like more globally across Australia.
Yeah. Like if you look at like
AFL.
memberships and all that shit, like the AFL is bigger.
Okay.
But like, and the AFL is more elite in the sense of like their S&C programs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, what we could say is that the NRL is definitely the best rugby league in the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes me think like, and from things I've seen as well, like the NRL, S&C, like online, it looks good.
Yeah.
How's that not been picked up before? And you know, even from a physio who's seeing them 4 times a week to give him massages. At what point do they say like, oh yeah, it's probably because your posterior like is lacking quite a lot that you're having all these issues.
Yeah.
If it's maybe it's so different when
We
it's a
spoke
Hall
a
of
little bit
Famer.
before, didn't we, about like top level sport and the some of the S&C is like in F1. And I have a story from. Do you remember the winger Ian Robben played for Chelsea? Dutch.
Yes, yeah.
He always had hamstring issue. Like he'd be out for like 6 weeks at a time, like every season. And my coach when I was younger, his one of his best friends was working at Chelsea as like a freelance S&C coach. Really, really good guy. And he was like, obviously, his leg length was like completely off. His hips were shifted. He was like, this is the issue, like why his hamstring keeps tearing. The physio at Chelsea said, now we're not going to address it because we believe his left foot is that good because his hips are... And they did nothing about it. So for the rest of his career, he just continued.
Fuck.
And I'm like, how can you have that mindset?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just see them as like, I get it, like they're performance athletes, but like, and they want them on the pitch as much as possible.
Like an asset to the club, right? Not a...
Yeah, expendable.
Yeah.
The biggest thing with the NRL is the NRL owns a lot of the IP, right? The players don't have their own IP. So that's a big issue in rugby league. Like you look at the NBA, you look at like, you know, the NFL, the players are their own fucking IP. You know, LeBron James, yes, obviously he makes 10 times the amount of a rugby league athlete, but he's his own brand, you know, and so he's going to get the best of the best physios, the best of the best S&Cs working on whatever it is that LeBron James needs. The NRL, where they lack in the strength conditioning department is they have one or two, like they have a head of performance and maybe a few S&Cs that some of them are just like fresh out of uni. You know, it's just to implement the program. They're there to implement the program. They don't know what a fucking good squat looks like. They don't know what tension through full range of motion looks like, you know, and so they're there at preseason, 40 athletes, three S&Cs implementing, some of them assistants, some of them fresh out of uni implementing the program. They don't really know, you know, how well someone's executing a movement. You know, if a player comes out and they says, oh, that back squat hurt my lower back, like shorten your range. Like, you know, there's no real focus on like the intricate, you know, detail of lifts or of a movement. And so I think, you know, they should all have their own, you know, their own trainer, or even like to the point where if they just said all the, you know, the back five, you'll all train together at this time with this coach, you know, like break it down like that. It doesn't have to be all, you know, if they've done 2 intervals of 20 and 20, like make it smaller, more of a, like a semi-private style, you know. That's where they lack. So every NRL player that I've worked with, like, you know, Dylan Brown, like Mitchell Moses, they all have the same issues. Like it's hamstrings, low back, like low back generally takes over, and they just struggle to have that awareness of where they're at in space, through a lift, and it's just creating that. It's just slowing things down, creating like less range, create tension, and then build the range. So that's where I feel like they lack. They just don't have the resources to do that. I think they should just maybe break it down a little bit more, like into smaller groups. I think they'd get a lot more out of that. The other thing is that like it's a pressure sport, and so the S&Cs are only worried about their jobs, right? If you do your ACL, they're coming straight to the S&C, right? They're like, cool, what were his squat numbers? What were his deadlift numbers? What were the numbers was he hitting 2 times body weight? Was he hitting 2.5 times body weight? If your answer is yes, your job's safe, right? And so that's what they care about. They just care about like, cool, go and hit your fucking, 2.5 times body weight box squat. Like, it's not really like, they don't care about the quality of the movement. It's just, here are the numbers, hit these numbers, so my job is safe. So that's a big problem there as well.
Yeah, tough one for sure. It's definitely not easy when they're trying to please so many different people. And then you've got the athlete themselves. Everything that we've spoken about so far is assuming that the athlete has a good relationship with S&C in general. Yeah. Some of them, I don't know what Jarryd Hayne might have been like. Like, he might have not liked the gym because it was potentially causing him more issues. Every time he went and saw a coach, come out more sore, feeling shit on the weekend, his performance might have even been even more diminished.
Yeah.
So you've got to battle that personal relationship with the...
Exactly. I've had to make him fall in love with training and the process. And so even the other day, like, he had a small niggle in his shoulder because he was in Fiji camp, and he went to dive and like make a touch, and like obviously his his armpit, or like his arm, has hit the ground, and sort of his shoulder has sort of like hiked up. So he's got bit of an issue with his AC joint. And so he's come to see me because he's like, I just know that it's like something small, as in like we need to work on the intricate muscles just to get this functioning better. Because it was like, it had happened 3 weeks before he contacted me. And of course he calls me the day before he wants to play. Standard. Yeah, that's him. The other thing that people don't realize is like Hayne is from like Minto, right? And Minto is like West Sydney. Is like, again, like if you think where I'm from is like low socioeconomic, like is low education, like it's just gangs, again, like rugby league, or like, maybe rap music. Like, so where he's from, he's like, he still has a lot of the, like he's still a little bit of a rebel. He still will want to like, go against the coach, and like he thinks he knows what's best and whatever. And to his like credit, like I understand why, because obviously, like going into these gyms and, these new coaches, and it would just make him worse. So he's like, fuck, you guys have no idea. So he's just like, he just thinks what he knows is right all the time. And so I've sort of had to try and teach him like through results and through proof that like...
Probably been reaffirmed to him for his whole career, isn't
exactly, it? Yeah. And again, it goes back to like just how good he was such a blessing and a curse for him, like honestly. Yeah.
No, that's really cool stuff, interesting stuff to hear it coming from the inside. We're at 58 minutes, so we're gonna get towards wrapping up.
Yeah, sweet.
Last question, kind of a two-parter. What do you think the fitness industry as a whole is missing? And then what do you think the Sydney fitness industry is missing?
The fitness industry as a whole, I think maybe a couple of things, like more coaches that just take a bit of time and show like care. I think like, people sometimes get into the industry just for the wrong reasons. They see like, a coach goes to the beach in the middle of the day or something like that, and they think like that's the fucking lifestyle for me. But, like I said at the start, like you don't realize that this job isn't a job. Like it's honestly you gotta love it, and you gotta like be willing to spend 24/7 on this job, and care. Like, one of the things when I first got into the industry was to like always have an answer. As a coach, I believe that you should always have an answer. And if you don't have it right now, tell the client and just be honest. Like just say, hey, like I actually don't know right now, and like find out and come back and finish that off and tell the client, just that genuine like care, so that you're like putting the client at ease and helping them progress to where they want to get to. I think as a whole, coaches need that. Another thing I think as a whole, coaches need is they need to understand how important coaches are. For me, and I'm biased, but I believe coaches are more important than doctors. Like we are there. We talk about prevention. Coaches are there for that reason. We're there to keep clients on the, like, if we look at the sickness to wellness continuum, we want to keep them as close to that being as well as possible. And that comes through your knowledge in nutrition. That comes through your knowledge in like movement and mindset and all these sorts of things that you should have a very holistic approach to your coaching, and you should at least understand as a bare minimum, like, understand a lot of these layers, because you can have such a massive impact on people's lives and a massive impact on the way, like the direction that society heads in. So for me, that's a big thing. It's like, I'm biased, but I really, really believe that coaches are more important than doctors. Obviously, if someone's got an infection or whatever, like, a doctor is going to be important. But, 95% of the time when clients are just like, in this phase of like going through life, they're going to take more out of, working with a really good coach who points them in the right direction with nutrition, with training, with whatever it might be. They're going to, lead them down a better path than what a doctor is and the advice that a doctor's going to give you. Big conspiracy theorist of me again, but like, to me, really, really important. Sydney.
I would agree on that.
Yeah. Sydney coaches. I don't know. Sydney coaches, probably more of the same, but
I was going to say, like, the lifestyle of seeing people going to the beach during the middle of the day is not happening in many other parts of the world. Maybe Bali, but
exactly. That's true. Yeah, Sydney, like a lot of like Sydney. If we're talking like East Sydney, the coaches there are from overseas anyway. They're not Aussies.
No.
Like, they're all like Pommies, or they're like Brazilians or whatever it is, living the life. I think some of them do a really good job. I think some of them are just there, obviously, just to fund their travels and whatever, which is fine.
I think it all still boils down to your first point of care.
Yeah, it is. It's just have that genuine care. Like, you can do it for that reason. It's fine, but just care about the client as the number one goal. And I think the other thing is, like, obviously, I'm just thinking now when I hop into like big Globo gyms into Sydney, like whenever I get a chance, it's just like, just know your craft. Like, if you want to be a bodybuilding coach, like, be the best at it. Like, go in and learn as much as you can. And just don't think you know everything. Like, keep your identity very small and know that you can, like, this game is ever changing, and so just keep your identity small and be the best at what you do, and try and help your clients as best as you can.
Yeah, some gold in there.
Yeah, some very wise words. Going to wrap things up there. Thanks again for coming on, John.
Thank you, boys.
Very enjoyable podcast.
Thank you.
Any closing words, Macca?
Eat real food.
Eat real food. Yeah.
Something about eat real food. Like, subscribe, please share it around. Absolutely banging episode. So
thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Cool.